How to buy your first rental property. I am about to debunk everything that you know about buying your first rental property. Yeah, I've heard all of that stuff. Save for a down payment, put a little bit aside from your paycheck, blah, blah, blah. Well, none of that is really true. I'm gonna tell you exactly how to do it because there is a new way to buy your first rental property, and Noelle is gonna show you how. Let's go. I'm gonna share with you the new way to buy your first rental property. Forget about that Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman way. I'm telling you the new way. I'm gonna share with you my insider tips on how to get your first rental property with equity, so you actually have a property that you can make some money off of, meaning you're gonna have an asset, not a liability. And I'm gonna share with you my secret, simple plan to get your first rental property in the next 30 days without saving money. So let's talk about the difference between a real estate investor and a civilian, because this is going to be the key on how you get your first rental property and get a really good one. As a real estate investor, we think very different from civilians. We want to buy properties that we can actually make money off of. And I think because you're watching this video, you probably already know that. You probably are thinking, how can I start getting into real estate investing and making some real money without spending a lot of money? A great way to build wealth is with rental properties. In fact, I started off in my parents' basement, broke, bankrupt, with multiple foreclosures and bad credit. And now I'm a real estate entrepreneur that makes millions and millions of dollars per year, all from my rental properties and everything real estate related. So I can tell you unequivocally, you do not have to start saving money in order to become a real estate investor. You just need to start thinking like a real estate investor. Let's get into that. So as a real estate entrepreneur and a real estate investor, you need to start thinking differently. Like I said, when I was bankrupt and poor and broke in my parents' basement and I got back into real estate investing, I found me a real estate coach that changed my life. He taught me about wholesaling, but more importantly, he taught me how to find people with property problems. He taught me how to find people that were behind on their mortgage payments, in bankruptcy, divorce, got relocated, or had a house that was falling apart and they didn't have the money to fix it. It was so easy for me to start finding these people and making money off of those properties. He taught me how to find those properties, help them with their situation by getting them under contract for one price and then flipping that contract to somebody else for a higher price and keeping the money in between. That's wholesaling. But the big lesson was finding people that were having a property problem. This way, I could get properties for pennies on the dollars. Because the people weren't in financial distress, meaning they were going through bankruptcy, divorce, foreclosure, like I said, they were in a situation where they needed to sell that house fast. And I became the answer to their problem. All you have to do is start focusing on property problems instead of finding real estate. Instead of finding properties that you want to buy and thinking about rental properties in the traditional way, start using the problem solver concept to find people that are having an issue with their property, and then you can come in and get rental properties that way. Let me break that down for you. So let me tell you the new way to get your first rental property without saving money. Like I said, once you start to find people that are behind on their mortgage payments, going through bankruptcy, going through foreclosure, divorce, inherited a house that they don't want, etc., you can talk to those people and see what's going on and start to get those properties under your control, using a concept called subject to, meaning you can take over the mortgage payment that they currently have, but buy the property in your name. That way, you don't have to deal with any banks, you don't have to deal with any lenders, you don't need to fix your credit, and you surely don't need to save for a down payment. In many cases, I've been able to amass rental properties with only a few $1,000s. Let me give you an example. Say you find somebody that's behind on their mortgage payments. The mortgage payment is $1,500. They're 3 months behind on their mortgage payment. That's $4,500. Well, the bank is coming to get that house and they're going to be going into foreclosure. So guess what? They're going to need help either getting that property out of foreclosure or that home is going back to the bank. Mind you, neither of those two people win when that happens. But if you can get to those people before they actually go into foreclosure, you can just buy the property for the past due amount and then take over those mortgage payments. We call it the taking over payment systems, or TOPS. That's a great way to start getting properties subject to. I've literally made an entire video where I explain the entire process and give you some of the documents and contracts that you will need to execute on this. I'll put a link below for you. This will allow you to start getting properties, like I said, for pennies on the dollars. And the benefit of this is you will get a property for just a few $1,000s, and the person that was about to go into foreclosure, they will be able to fix their credit and get themselves in a better situation without going through that terrible process of foreclosure. Let me tell you about foreclosure, because that is something you're gonna have to be able to explain to them. When you go through foreclosure, the sheriff literally comes to your home and throws all of your things out. It's very embarrassing. Trust me, I've been through it. Additionally, the person that owns the home, we'll just use me for example, since I've been through foreclosure, you lose all of your down payment and all of the payments that you've made. Additionally, you're gonna end up with something on your credit report called a foreclosure, and that stays on your credit report for 10 years, and there's no real way to get it off. Additionally, it stops you from getting credit cards, other credit, and it really ruins your credit for a very, very long time. Imagine if a real estate investor could come in, catch those payments up, let that person move out of the home, they go move somewhere more affordable, they go move in with their parents, like I did, but not go through the foreclosure. Now, it only takes them a couple months to get themselves back in order. Literally, they walk away with a better situation, and now you have a property where you can just get a tenant in and start making money. Additionally, that mortgage is not in your name. You can write a separate contract with that home seller where you will agree to refinance that mortgage out of their name in a set period of time. It's the simple and new way to get rental properties. I have students doing it all the time, and it's actually very easy if you target the right people. Okay, I actually have a bonus for you. So here's another way where you can actually do this with no money. Like I said, you don't have to use any of your money. So using the scenario that I just gave you previously, where you're targeting people that are behind on their mortgage payments, this is the easiest way to start getting your first rental property. Again, that person's about to lose their home to foreclosure anyway. They might as well give it to you so you can make a rental property out of it. Additionally, you can start building business credit, and you can use your business funds to catch that mortgage payment up and take over those mortgage payments. Additionally, you could show the property owner the money that you have in your business's name and why you're well capitalized enough to take over that mortgage payment. It builds credibility, and it makes the transaction go so much smoother, and you don't have to use any of your money to catch that payment up and get that mortgage going. So now you know the new and improved way to actually get your first rental property without having to save a dime. Literally, when you buy a rental property, people are gonna tell you you need to put down 20%. In some cases, that's at least $40,000 at the very minimum. But if you use Noelle's system, you can start getting properties for just a few $1,000s, and you can use your business credit to pay that few $1,000s. Go to 𝗏𝑒𝑙𝑙sfreetraining.com where I give you a full training. It's almost an hour long, where I tell you the exact way to do all of what I told you. It'll break it down. It's about an hour long, but it will give you everything that you need. 𝗏𝑒𝑙sfreetraining.com. I want to make sure you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle, to your success.